I've been January 1.
You would ask me.
Yes, I did.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Oh, here you got it. You roll sugar. I got you. That's why I got this.
Flew around 2-3 years.
You know what you're like.
Boys that I was on. So then after that, but before that, I started
June the 20th, right? Now it's safe. I know what I did wrong. Yeah, I mean, it's just where you going to do that? Yes, ma'am. I'll try my best. Rita.
Straight. That's what I do. But the pain that comes with it.
Well, how are you planning? Are you planning on calling us another time? I mean, I would rather put a chair there because you're going to want somebody sitting on it.
Sure. So then I went but I never, I mean, you know,
Exactly. But do you think that time is going to be over? If all we want to have is do we really want to line them up? Everybody wants to speak. No, it is. I know. There are people that no. I don't remember neither one. Oh wait, I don't even and even when people know my name, no idea.
I've heard some of I didn't talk about it.
And it reminded me that's it. But
Oh yeah. Okay. I'm good. How are you?
Well, I haven't seen you.
Yeah. See everybody come back.
That's my mom.
How are you? Thank you very much. We're gonna stand up here. I'm ready. And you just, when you introduce yourself, I know everybody knows who you are. Say, but you know, a lady told me at Dollar Travel Partner, I know your voice, but you do. I said, how do you do it? That's beautiful there. They're both I mean, but you know, people say that is delicious.
You don't dare, you don't dare eat. Oh, I put it there. It's good. It's turkey sausage, but it's very, very tasty turkey sausage. You might have mixed it up like that. It got a lot of onions in
Good morning. I put an extra chair up there to see. Okay, we're gonna put another chair. Do I need this and that? Right now, nothing's working. Okay, all righty. What did he say? He said right now nothing is working. So just relax for a moment. It is. She heard me for the first time. I didn't hear her. For the first time in her life. Girl, I was serious. Said, "You want this milk?" I said, "No." And then I said, "Give it to me, because Mary needs it."
You know what I should have done?
But it, you know what?
I put it out, and so if anybody wants,
I don't know.
I'm gonna take the rest of it.
That's what I was gonna say. I could take it home. I was gonna. Sometimes I said, if you don't want it, I'll take it, because I don't have no milk in my refrigerator.
Well, then you take it.
No, I'm not, girl. I ain't got out. See, I don't cook. I ain't got nothing. Right.
Well, you're gonna have to start cooking, because I'm growing all these onions, and you can put them in your smoothie.
Well, you know, my house is still this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, they ain't gonna be
I don't
really
do respect her. If there's time left and you would like to speak again, you can do so for 2 minutes as well. So once again, thank you for coming and sharing with us the celebration of Sarah Stevenson's life. And, and we'd like to ask for a moment of silence right now for Sarah. Amen. Well, this is a team that has kept the Tuesday Forum together for years, for at least 10 years or so. So we'll introduce ourselves, and you all know basically what we do and what our roles are in the Tuesday Forum.
Nathalie McElrath.
Sarita Cheryl.
Winston Robinson.
Jackie Edwards Walton.
Armenia Ivory Canty.
Mary Johnson.
And last but not least, the man that keeps us all straight.
The man who was broken, which one of you was? The only one who is yes, you can receive these folks right now.
What's your name?
I'm Steve Johnson.
Thank you, Steve. So we'd like to go ahead and get started. We want to make sure that all of those that are wanting to share just the thoughts of Sarah to get that opportunity. We'd also like to ask you to please silence your phones. I gotta find mine to silence it. Please silence your phones. Okay, you can take your seats. I just wherever you want to sit, but Winston and Mary, whoever sit here. And since I'm standing, I would like to just share my 2 minutes. Natalie, you ready to take this time? Sarah was one of the sweetest people I have ever known in my life. And we know she is in heaven. She gave us permission to call her Sarah. Most of us did, but some preferred Mrs. Stevenson instead. We all had lots of respect for her. Not only did the forum provide all of us with surmountable information about candidates and issues that affect our community, we were introduced to the Sarah's Rules of Order. You all know we had to keep things in order here. She lived and loved genuinely. She really cared for all people. She was very humble and only bragged about her family, which is what all of us do. She asked me over 20 years ago to assist her with the forum by soliciting speakers and facilitating, and I have thoroughly enjoyed what we have been able to continue in her name and honor. I feel very blessed to have been a part of her life because she was always real. When I began visiting her in the nursing home and asked her what she wanted or needed, she asked me to bring her some Vienna sausages and Ritz crackers, which I did. She always kept it real. She will always remembered by many for the many significant contributions she made in this community. I feel extremely blessed to have been a part of her life, and I love her, and I will miss her dearly. Now we will hear from Mary Johnson.
Miss Sarah was such a sweet, sweet lady. I loved her so much. I have so many little stories that I could say about her, but I can't say them all today. I'm too full right now. But one thing about Miss Sarah, she liked wine. She liked like that muscadine wine, the one that's real sweet. And if you go to her house and you take her some wine, And if it's not sweet, she will mix some sugar in it to make it sweet. That's one thing. That's one thing I do remember about her. She wanted that sweet, sweet wine. But I don't know how many years ago it was, maybe 10. I came to the forum, well, many, many years ago when the forum was young. My father was a member. He would come and all. I was still a child, and then I was working and all of that. And then when I retired, I said, I think I'll go. And I came a few times, and then Laura McCletty approached me and asked me would I consider being a facilitator. And I said, well, maybe I'll think about it. So then I decided, after she kept nudging me, that I would do it. And I've been doing it ever since, and I really, really love it. And so Miss Sarah would be here, and she would make sure that I did everything just right, just like she did. And she was really a stickler for time. She would, okay, Nathan. She would say that, we're gonna let people speak, but we're gonna be out of here on time, and we're gonna not let people do this or do that, but everybody can have a say. So that's what I try to do. Sometimes I feel like I'm the bad guy, but, I'm gonna keep being the bad guy, keep us on track. So thank you very much for coming today. We appreciate and love you. Thank you.
Jackie, will you come up?
I'm running.
She don't want to. Oh, she's coming.
No.
Good morning. I was not prepared to speak.
Okay.
But I've known Ms. Stevenson since I moved to this town in 1978. And I came to the breakfast forum when Harry Jones was with community development. And at that time, Isaiah Robinson and Hattie Anthony, they worked in that department. And we were meeting at the YWCA up on Trade Street. And I've been with the forum 45 years as a young woman. And it has shaped my life. My dad was involved in the civil rights movement in NAACP, and he would always ask, well, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? And I know that he wanted that kind of involvement. And when my mom passed in 97, Ms. Stevenson says, well, I'll be your mom. And I never called anybody my mom that was not my mom. My mom was my mom. But I just thought it was such a wonderful gesture for her just to even offer to do that, because she knew that, how close my mom was. But from the times of, I've got 30 seconds and I'm going to do right. But I remember the times when Ms. Stevenson would say we would not have any reporters coming to the forum. That included Vanessa Goldman, who was like her goddaughter and who worked for the Observer. And then I remember when she said whites could not come. And then we had Joe White, and we had Martha, we had Lucy, we had Becky, and I thank y'all so much for indulging me for being unprepared.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So those of you who are familiar with the dynamics of R&B and soul groups, there's always a little kid in there somewhere that really doesn't make sense for the dynamic of the group. That'll be me. I guess little Michael, Franklin Lyman, whoever. But I'm the baby of the group. I joined the forum in 2016. My career in experiential marketing took me out of town. I traveled a lot on the weekends. So I would come back on Monday and Tuesday. And the Tuesday, this would be the time for me to spend with my father. My father, who was a longtime regular, Tommy Robinson, And it really wasn't about the forum. It was, all right, I'm just hanging out with my dad. I thought this would be torture. Ended up being the greatest thing ever. I have a deep reverence for history, even more with local Black history. So I've always had context of who Miss Sarah Stevenson was. And I was, even as I got to know her, I was always in a state of shock just to be around her. And while she would run the forum, she would reference Miss McCletty, Miss Mary, at the time as Karen Gibson, and Natalie as her daughters, and Steve as her son. And around 2019, actually 18, Ms. McCletty asked me if I would help be a facilitator. And I felt just the pressure of the world on my shoulders for that responsibility, because I knew I would have to be in the space with Miss Sarah now having a responsibility. And when she started to reference the other facilitators as her daughter, that was my goal, to be amongst the children of Miss Sarah Stevenson. And one day, she was like, thank you to my daughters for running and facilitating Tuesday morning forum, keeping it going. And she referenced Steve. She said, my sons. She pluralized it. So I knew this was my shot. I'm finally in. So she said, thank you to my daughter. She named each one. She said, Steve, she named him. And my other son, tell me what your name is again. But while that was supposed to knock me down, that was all the validation in the world. It took me to a place where my own grandmother, who passed in 2009, Ms. Mary Drakeford, when we would have conversation and dialogue, she would name me every one of my uncles before she got to my name. So I knew I was officially a son when Miss Sarah did not know my name. But, I love her dearly. I will miss her. Thank you all for being here.
That was so good.
You child.
Nathalie,
No, thank you.
Carlene.
My 2 minutes doesn't start.
You're right.
You
I turned the mic off too.
Yes, you turn it off.
You know that.
Is it on now?
Yes, it's on.
It's on. Just in case they didn't have my picture up here with Sarah period. Now, it's a beautiful picture. And oh, what a beautiful day. And what I said to Laura earlier today, it is so wonderful to be in this room and to see so many wonderful faces that Sarah loved. It was, Tuesday morning will continue because of these individuals over here and Jackie, because I was sitting in Miss Sarah's living room one day, and she said to me, I want you guys as my daughters to carry on. And, she named Jackie, she named Laura, she named Mary, she named myself. Sarah did not ask you, she told you what you were going to do. And you did it. And as I was on Beatty's Ford Road today, or Beatty's Ford Road, whatever you want to call it, I passed St. Paul. And that's the street that Sarah lived on, that many, many, many days that I would stop. I would have to help her button her back of her dress. I would make sure that she went shopping before and that she wanted to look her finest. And Sarah didn't miss an event. She was there, she was present, she represented this neighborhood. Sarah will be missed and we all love her, but she would want you to continue to come and support the Tuesday morning forum. We love her and thank you. Sarita.
I'm so thankful to have the opportunity to tell you how much I love that lady.
She was a legend. When you think about images, think about all of you in this room who's standing on her shoulders today. She encouraged us. And like Carlenia said, she didn't ask you, she told you what to do. You see me praying, that means I'm praying because Ms. Stevenson asked me to do that. And when the group decided that they were going to cut the prayers down to 2 minutes, I did that too. So when you don't get enough out of the prayer, come on and we will pray in silence. I'm happy to have the opportunity to let you know that one thing, I love that lady. When I went to see her, I took her that wine and she put it under the covers with her. She said, nobody's gonna know about this, but it's you and me. I said, who's gonna tell it? Not me. Thank you so much, Laura.
Thank you. And, bye.
Good morning, everyone. Just to sit and see all of you today is really a special honor as we gather to memorialize and laugh, cry a little bit. I have to say I had a little bit of a tear because all of us are about the same age and all of us have the same kids about the same, I'm sorry, not you. Winston has children that are grandchildren like my grandchild. He has a child, so he's our child. But I don't know how much it meant to be in this space, in this room. I have to say that Sarah was a mother to all of us, but more importantly, she was a mother to every child that attended a school in this county. Her original thoughts were around how do we do something about the discrepancies between the PTAs when it was black and white. Imagine the courage that that took now. I don't know that we have the courage that she exhibited then in us now, but I think this is where we have to call for each other to create that kind of courage, to continue to have that kind of strength. I don't think we had words like equity and inclusion, but Sarah had a heart for it. She knew that there was going to be something different in our city. She knew it depended upon the next generation, which is why she chose all of you as daughters, because she knew that your strength would be there, your courage would be there. So I want to say that as she is in heaven today, if there is a locker room or a dressing room, she's going to be dressed in her finest, but she's going to have that smile. And she's not going to take any junk from anybody saying anything about Charlotte, anything about what was accomplished by what we were doing. There are often words that we talk about like conviction and courage and compassion. Sarah had every bit of that to the nines, tens, I guess I would say. So I want to say that this group was born in what, 1980? Laura, is that right? Okay, well, somebody will figure out, but it's been a long time. And as she sat here, as she laid in her place here, as she laid the foundation for all of us, let's not forget what Sarah really was about. It is about our kids. It is about the next generation. And I'm just really proud that all of you will continue making it possible for this to take place. Thank you very much for having us to love Sarah this morning.
Mama wants to speak. She didn't know where to sit.
Oh, she's getting ready.
She said she
She's getting ready to tell.
She didn't know where to supposed to sit, but she wants to speak. She's lined up to speak.
Okay, I'm going to give you instructions as to how we're going to do this right now. We're going to let you speak at a maximum of 2 minutes, okay? And Nathalie is our timekeeper. So if you'd like to share something, we have 2 seats over here. I'm going to ask. We have 2 seats over here so that the next person can be ready. So if you would like to speak, we have 2 chairs at a time. So 2 people can come up at a time. Like I see one person coming up and maybe another person would like to come up now. if they have something to say. Okay, you're coming up. Okay. And so we're going to do it that way so that we don't have gaps in time. Because, we're done at 10 o'clock. So we want to make sure that we don't have lapses of time in there. So we do have 2 people. It looks like 3. Well, you come on up. Since you're standing, you come on. Okay. And we'll just keep going like that.
Good morning. I had a similar story to Winston, which was I first started coming to this because Nancy Carter, when I started to get involved in the community, said, if you're going to be involved in the community, you need to be at Tuesday morning breakfast forum. That was when it was over off Beatty's Ford. Then when it was off of Oaklawn, then followed it over here. A couple of years after I started coming, I got an email from Steve, I think late one evening, and he said, the person who was supposed to pick up Ms. Sarah tomorrow morning can't do it. Can you do it? And like Winston, when he found out he was the son, I thought I made it. I've been trusted with the matriarch of the Tuesday morning breakfast forum. I drove an SUV that was decently high off the ground, and I thought, I don't know how I'm gonna get Miss Sarah in this truck, but we're gonna work on it. We got her in there, and we got her here safely. And I felt like part of the family just because Steve gave me the honor of getting to pick her up and spend that time with her one-on-one. She and I also shared a birthday, which her birthday's coming up just a little over 3 weeks. And so we always had that special bond every October that we would get to talk about our birthdays together. But I think her legacy for me is not just the relationship I have with her, but the fact that I know a majority of people in this room and a majority of the ones I know because of her and because of this forum. So I think all of the people that she's brought together all these years and the relationships that they have that will live long after she's gone is really an amazing part of her legacy and something I will always appreciate her for is the joy I've gotten from her and getting to know you as well. So love her and miss her and love all of y'all too. So glad to be with y'all today.
You can leave it up
You
there.
can leave it up there. We just, Steve.
Yeah, you were on the screen.
Another unprepared person. Whether it was from North Carolina or another state or actually another continent, there were about 10 years when every Sunday I would call Sarah to see if there had been any change in the Tuesday lineup. I remember calling her from England once. I knew her office hours. They were between 2 minutes of 8 p.m. and about 2 minutes after, when the advertising on her television was running and I could get in. She would answer the phone and we would do our business. That's my only story about her. I didn't really much like her. She was a firstborn and I was a fourthborn. And for the longest time, I thought all these pictures that you've been seeing about her getting presentations and certificates and la-di-da-di-da was the evidence of being firstborn. And it took me a long time. I'm not real fast. But I finally realized what Sarah was doing was taking her outstanding reputation that she had built in this community and putting it to use to raise money for worthy causes. And I said, oh, that's kind of nice. That's kind of nice. So I would encourage you to do that. I have one message about the forum. It is that your job is to help the facilitators carry on. This is very much like what Carlenia said. You don't necessarily have to fold the napkins. It may be that you can tell someone in their 20s, you want to understand how Charlotte works, how the Black community in Charlotte works, come to the forum. That might be a wonderful thing because, well, not everyone's over 70 here. Not everyone, but that's the task for the forum. If it goes, it goes, but it has done wonders for this community, and it's been my honor, the honor of my life to be a part of it. Thank you.
Good morning. I don't have the stories that you all have, but I do have the story when I met Miss Sarah Stevenson through Miss Nathalie. Um, Speaking of legacy and standing on shoulders, I am now the current president for the Black Women's Caucus. And when I got that call that Miss Stevenson had passed, I said, oh my God, I truly have got to do the work and pray that if I could only do a fifth of what she's done, I hope that I've made her proud. I remember once the Sunday I met Miss Stevenson, we were meeting at the Johnston Y. Miss Nathalie had just rolled her in and did whatever she does. And I was sitting across from her and she motioned at me to come over like this. And she asked me, who was I? And I said, my name is Chautauqua. She said, well, what do you do? And I told her that I was an early educator. And she told me to keep doing what I'm doing for our babies. And so for that, I am humbled, I am honored, I am grateful to continue to carry her legacy. And I hope and pray that I do you all and her justice. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Sandy Clory, and I moved to Charlotte 24 years ago from Philadelphia via Las Vegas, where I was a professor through continuing education because I love teaching children. I love children. I'm a child. So are you all, whether you know it or not. You'll always be your mother's child if you had one. Hello. And you'll always be a child of God, hopefully. And when I moved to Charlotte, it was because I lost my mother. So I moved here because she was a Native American from Ahoskie, North Carolina, exactly where Harold Cogdill was from. So when I moved here, I felt like a motherless child and I felt like an orphan. But guess who I met? I met Sarah Stevenson, and I thank God for that because she became my second mother. And we all need that, whether we want to pretend or not, but we all need that. And I moved to Charlotte and she helped lift me even further. I felt as a professor through continuing education at UNLV was a good job. But when I moved to Charlotte, Sarah Stevenson helped me to become a contractor for CMS after school enrichment programs where I taught meditation, Tai Chi, and dance. And if you've never listened to, I don't know whether you're Christian or not, it doesn't matter to me, but yourself. I was always taught that true love, you feed people. Well, she loved her oxtails, and guess who cooked them a lot for her? Me. She loved having her feet bathed, and that's what I did. So that's what we should all do. If we truly love someone, do those things that the Lord said. And God bless all of you, because I loved Sarah Stevenson. And thank you, Stephen Thomas. Bye-bye.
Last week, two Sarahs died in life. My Aunt Sarah died, Sarah Stevenson died. I remember being at a meeting and Sarah said, in the meeting, she's speaking and she turns to me and says, Thomas, call your mother. She met my mother years ago and she kept reminding me to call your mother. Powerful, powerful words that I heard from her, call your mother. And my heart hurts. We buried my Aunt Sarah day before yesterday. And from hearing that she had died, both these Sarahs had died, I cried for about an hour, like I had never cried before. We shall overcome
We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. Good morning, everyone. My name's D. Rankin, long-term Charlotte, born and raised here in Charlotte. Just want to give brief words. Years ago, before I was even thinking about running for public office or doing it, I was just saying, I'm thinking about becoming active in the community. And I was talking to Miss Ivory, and she said, look, you need to go to the Tuesday morning forum. So I did so, and this is when it was over at West Charlotte. So I would go, I was just kind of just observer, because I was nervous. I was in the room with some people, and I was just amazed at how Miss Sarah she would sit up front in that chair and literally like direct everybody. Right. And I was like, man, is that the senator? Is that the mayor? Is that the, and she would say, you need to, and they would do. Such a powerful, powerful person. And I just want to say thank you to her for the words she would impart in me when I would just let her know what I'm thinking about doing next and what I'm about doing by next. And I just appreciate that. And I just want to appreciate not only her, but everyone in this room that's imparted your wisdom on me. I truly appreciate you. And I hope I could continue on the legacy that's been built through the Tuesday Morning Forum and through our community, because I truly do stand on the shoulders of giants. So I just want to say that. Thank you.
Sorry.
Yes, we have lots of refreshments in the back, and we really don't want to take those back with us. So please help yourself. We do not want to take that back. Okay. And just remember that when the speaker, I know that you may be going back to the table. Please do not talk at the table, because we have speakers and we want to be respectful of each person as they speak. So please do not have conversations back at the table. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Gwen High, and I am glad to join the rest of you who are here today to celebrate the life of the wonderful Sarah. I moved to Charlotte from Miami about 25 years ago, and I moved to Charlotte not knowing a single person other than the two people in my family who came with me. And someone said to me very early on that you need to know about the Tuesday morning breakfast club at that time.
Could you hold your microphone up?
Okay. And so this was really one of the first gatherings I came to, and I felt so welcome to be here. I met Sarah at that time, and I know I see familiar faces here today. There are lots of you I don't know, but I know what we all have is love for Sarah Stevenson. And there are a couple things I want to share with you. In 2013, when Heath Morrison was appointed superintendent of the CMS, he established task forces that were to meet with people and have these listening sessions around the county. And Arthur Griffin and I were asked to co-chair the task force on culture engagement and shared values. And as we looked at who was on that list, we saw Sarah's name, and we were so excited that she was part of our group. And so he and I immediately talked about, okay, how are we going to make sure Sarah is there for every single meeting? And so what we worked out is that Arthur would pick her up and I would take her home after the meetings. And I felt so privileged to be able to to have that special time with her, just me and her, taking her to her house. And so I love that a lot. I had my picture like Carlinia. I sent it to Steve last night. I knew I couldn't share it with the rest of you, but I just wanted to know that I had that. And the last thing I want to share with you is in 2017, Sarah was appointed or named one of the 50 most powerful people in town. And I took that information and I framed it and I had a plaque made and I called, I said, Sarah, I got something for you. Can I come bring it to you? And she was so excited and so delighted. And I was just so pleased. And that little gesture meant a lot to her. Thank you for being here today. Thank you to you all who are continuing her legacy. And we all are going to support continuation of this. Thank you.
When you come up to speak, please say your name so that we can put a name on the face. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Talk about being full. I am so grateful that my calendar was freed up today when I found out that the Tuesday forum was honoring my mentor. In 19, see, I should back that far, 1994, I'd only lived in Charlotte about 5 years. And I got involved with the school bond campaign where there was a bond that was put forward by the school board and the county commission was not going to honor that amount. So I got involved then and we got that bond passed and we got the amount raised. The next thing I knew, I was being asked to run for school board. And I was told over and over, as many of you have, there's one person you need to call or you need to go, one place you need to go, and that was Tuesday morning breakfast over at McDonald's cafeteria. But I called the lady in charge because I didn't just want to appear and it not be open to everyone. I called the lady, Sarah Stevens, and I asked her, would it be all right if I came to the Tuesday morning breakfast meeting? I told her who I was. She said, stop right there. You don't have to ask to come anywhere, and don't you ever ask to go somewhere. You just go if you feel so moved. I have been moved from that day forward by Sarah Stevens to where I am today, not just in a political world, but in my life. And my children knew her from when we were campaigning, but she is a dear treasure to my heart, and she is truly someone that I love. And I keep thinking today, surely the presence of the Lord is in this place, but surely Sarah Stevenson is in this place with us. Thank you for allowing me to share.
Good morning, everyone. I am Wilhelmina Rembert, and I would be remiss if I did not show up today to speak on behalf of myself, but also on behalf of so many people who probably could not be here. But I'm thinking especially of one of our mutual friends, Bishop George Battle, who could not be here, but he and Ms. Stevenson were very close friends, and we shared a friendship. Having been a member of the Charlotte-Mecklenburg School Board, I could not have done what I did without having benefited from the service and leadership that Ms. Stevenson provided. So like so many of you, I too stand on her shoulders. They were broad and they were a safe place to be. She loved deeply, and so many of us, of course, learned how to lead based on her leadership. She led with love instead of vinegar, or sugar instead of vinegar. And so we are so grateful that we had someone of her stature, someone of her courage, someone of her kindness, her gentleness, her compassion to lead in our community. And so I am grateful to be here today to share with so many of you the love that I had for her. And I could not provide the kind of leadership that she provided because I'm just not the kind of person that she was. And so I am so grateful that I had the opportunity to live and share with her. Did not serve with her on the school board, obviously, but I did serve with her on the Greater Enrichment Program, or the GEP Board of Directors. She was serving when I arrived, and I served after she left, but she stayed connected with us. So I'm so grateful. So lastly, I would say on behalf of Congressman Jeff Jackson's office, our district director Larkin spoke earlier, but on behalf of the office, we send our sincere condolences to all the members of her family. Thank you so much.
Good morning, family. I say family. I'm John Powell, but more importantly, I'm one of the many men and children who love Sarah, and she will always be in our hearts. This woman was filled with strength, with love, and with grace. I remember when I met her, I got involved with politics a little bit here in town, but more importantly, when Sarah and I began to speak, and I told her how I lost my mom, she goes, "Your mama's in heaven, and one day you'll see her again. And while you're down here, why don't you be my son?" And it broke me up. I love Sarah. I'll miss her. I don't live in Charlotte anymore, but I'll travel however far it takes to come and witness for her, because she is, not was, is a woman of God. And she is a witness to all of us. And I strongly urge that when you put your head down to sleep tonight, you thank God for having the honor and the privilege of meeting and knowing Sarah, because we're going to love her and miss her all. Thank y'all.
This is just a commercial break, but I thought about something that needed to be said here. And that is, some of you from years back may remember Sarah Stevenson's son, Sammy Stevenson. And he was an opera singer, and he sang all over the world. He was a member of the cast of Porgy and Bess, but he was very famous. And one of the things that he did as he traveled all around the world, and of course he made money, he bought Sarah a fur coat. And she was very proud of that fur coat, you know, her very first fur coat. So I want to move this on. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Good morning. I am Betty Howell Gray, and I relocated here a little over 10 years ago. And I met this powerful lady, Miss Stevenson, here in Charlotte. And she really became my hero because she loved children. You see, I'm not used to talking to the mic.
I'm holding.
Okay.
It's the people that are online that can't hear you.
Okay.
They can't hear you.
You know, she loved education and loved children. And I just come from the National Alliance, representing the National Alliance of Black School Educators, and trying to do work here for our children here in Charlotte. And so that's why she leaves a legacy for me. And not only that, she introduced me to the two most powerful, influential groups here in Charlotte. Nothing but the breakfast group, the Tuesday morning breakfast group, and the Black Political Caucus. And that's where I began my work to meet the people, the work that we're doing here. And I'm just so proud to be part of this group and part of Charlotte. I grew up in Goldsboro, North Carolina, but came here because I did my cadet teaching at West Charlotte High School. So I'm just so happy to be part of this group. And she leaves a legacy, made such a great impact on this state, this city and state. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity. And your group for really keeping her legacy going. That's what's so important. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Jessica Davis, and I had the honor of being a birthday buddy with Miss Sarah. Miss Sarah, Miss Ivory, and I all had birthdays within a week of each other, and so we called ourselves the birthday buddies. But I want to thank Miss Sarah for her legacy and her gift. A song that I've been playing for the last 2 days is by Ty Tribbett, and the title of the song is One Night, Though. And part of the song, he says, weeping may endure for a night, but only one night though. And it's a message that I feel like Miss Sarah is leaving us, because we may be sad that she is gone, but when you look around this room, you see her legacy. This forum, I didn't realize I was gonna get emotional. This forum started the year I was born, I believe. I didn't start attending this forum until I think 2018, 2017, when I became the Community Support and Disability Access Coordinator for the court system here. And I was told, you need to come to Tuesday Morning Breakfast Forum. And I came, and I met Miss Sarah, and I was just amazed. She didn't have to say much. She didn't have to do much. It was her presence. Her being in a room moved people to do things. She led people to use their gifts. And it's because of her that we all sit here. We're all connected. And I pray that this legacy continue. I know it will continue because we've got some great facilitators, some great daughters and sons. And I just want to thank you all, and I want to thank her. And when I called Miss Ivory last week, after I heard the news, she said, and she left us on a Tuesday morning. And it sent chills up my spine, because I was like, she left us on a Tuesday morning. But I want to thank Miss Sarah, and I thank you all.
Hi, everyone. I'm Elise Dashew, and I wanted to pay tribute to Miss Sarah too. So I met her in, it was either 2010 or 2011, and I was advocating for my kids' school. I was like a baby school advocate at the time. And some people were talking to me about thinking about running for school board, which I thought was completely bonkers. Like, why me? What, like, what's that all about? And a friend of mine introduced me first to Charlotte Watkins, who then said, you need to meet Sarah Stevenson. And so that was how I met Miss Sarah. And and so Charlotte Watkins and Sarah Stevenson were back in the day leaders of the white PTA and the black PTA. And they merged their PTAs, and then Sarah led both of those. And so we met at the Panera on Providence Road, and Sarah drove up and parked her car and came out and just imparted so much wisdom upon my friend and I. And she was a mentor and a teacher ever since, and I'm not worthy of that, the amount of attention that she gave me. But she was really, really generous with her support and with all that she taught me, through really good times and through really hard times. I think I said at our school board meeting last Tuesday that I wouldn't be who I am today without her guidance. I've missed her terribly since the pandemic, really, because she moved into assisted living either just before or during the pandemic. And I remember the birthday party where we all drove past her window with our cars decorated, but I was part of that. But I regret that I didn't go visit her in all these years. George Battle and I have been talking about doing it all summer, and we didn't get to it. But just grateful to be able to honor her here today, and so grateful for who she was for Charlotte, with her fierceness and love put together.
All right. Okay, so I've never not known Mama Sarah. She helped to bring me into this world. She is our family. She is our friend. She's my Aunt Sarah. As she said, she helped to bring me into this world. I've never not known activism. I've never not known politics. I've never not known how to get together. So her son Sandy and my mom are both artists, singers, actors, etc. So one of the reasons I actually moved home was because when Sandy passed away, I didn't know that my mom was going to have a friend to hang out with every day anymore. So because of that, I then ran for chair of the Democratic Party. I was the first Black woman to be elected. And Bob Davis and Mama Sarah endorsed me. And it's really funny because people in this room knew that I was from here. Some people were like, oh, you were in Connecticut so long, you weren't from here. How do you know them? And I was like, because they're my family. I'm their lineage. I'm their little. And so the day that I won third vice chair, my mom wasn't even there for the Democratic Party convention. And Mel Bott was in the back of the room and he's like, he grabs my hand and he's like, this is our legacy. And so then he told Mama Sarah that I was a little Sarah Stevenson. That's the most amazing thing. So I love her. I miss her. I'm glad I can even talk.
Okay, we have a very special person in this room with us, and she's unable to walk to the front, but this is Miss Sarah's sister, Ella Reed. She is with us. And she would like to speak.
Good stand. Yeah, I can do that.
Good morning, all. Good morning. Let me first of all say thanks, many thanks to all of you in case I don't say anything on Thursday. It's a fast moving program that was put together by Sarah's son, our Lutheran pastor, the representative at Friendship. And I am just Sarah's younger sister for this service. But to all of you who have called, made your comment, I appreciate everything. And especially to Steve, he's going to give all of your comments to me. And my last job will be to get that printed. My sister will send me the paper that they're using for the obituary of the program. And I will have all of your comments and the ones that come in online printed, and it will all be inserted into the program on Thursday. I know all of you would love to get up and have at least 2 minutes. That is not possible. But some of you, I think that I have. Those of you who are listening online and throughout the country, because our Lutheran church goes throughout the country. And the link for this broadcast is out there. It is all over the country. And I don't know if the foreign countries, because we do have Lutheran churches throughout that's affiliated with the Missouri Center of Lutherans. Got your plug in. I'm lost now. I'm sorry I'm late. I had intended to get here before all of you got here, so they could let me in the back way, but it all worked out. This is what the Lord had intended for me. It's not what I wanted, but I'm glad I'm here. Thank you all so much. Everyone, thank you. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Mary McCrae, and I came here to pay homage to Miss Sarah also. I had 2 Sarahs in my life, Miss Sarah Coleman and Miss Sarah Stevenson. And I wasn't even thinking about running for school board. But after talking with Richard and Joyce, who were on the board at that time, they said, you need to go talk to Sarah Stevenson. And then they sent me to Miss Sarah Coleman. And after I told Miss Sarah when I was sitting there talking to her, I said, I feel like a little girl at the feet of her grandma right now. And she said, well, just consider me your grandma. And it was a very moving conversation that we had. And she said, Mary, we need people like you to run for school board. And I made my decision that I was going to do it. And I made a decision. I was only going to run for 2 terms. And I told her that. She said, well, we need you for a third. I said, no, I said 2 terms when I sat at your feet. And that's all I'm going to do. I made the mistake of giving Miss Sarah a red velvet pound cake one Christmas. She expected that every Christmas. The other mistake I made with her, I love going to North Carolina vineyards. And I gave her some muscadine wine. And I told her, I said, it's medicinal. If anybody asks you, just say muscadine grapes are good for your body. And so every Christmas, I had to give her some muscadine wine. So I made sure that I went to all of the area vineyards. And she said, but I like that one that got that bird on it, talking about the Duplin. And I said, well, I don't go to Duplin all the time. But I enjoyed her presence. She was someone that we all could look up to. And Miss Sarah, if you're listening, which I know you are because you're nosy, we love you and rest on.
My name is Martha Alexander, and I've spent a lot of time trying to think when I first met Sarah. And what I can tell you is I've been living in Charlotte since 1970, and it was really early on that I knew who she was, and where we met exactly, I'm not quite sure. But I do remember going to McDonald's when the Tuesday morning forum was there. And it wasn't very large. It wasn't a room full like this. There would sometimes only be about 10 people who were there. And I've been coming off and on when I've been able to come to this forum. And that's a great thank you to Sarah Stevenson, who has been acknowledged here with all such beautiful tributes and words to her. But what I would like to say is she always asked me about my family. She knew some of my family members. Family was important to her. This was another family to her as well. And I will say, and I'm so glad to have the opportunity to say this Tuesday morning forum, thank goodness, was named for Sarah Stevenson. And while she was able to have that name and for her to know that. This to me is the most important group, and I've said this often to people, in the city of Charlotte. I know many of you in here, I know different groups that you belong to and are active in and have been leaders in. But to me, this particular forum and the way it has been run, thanks to Sarah, for her ability to say, it's time's up, or we're only going to pray for so many minutes. But she did it in a gracious manner. And we knew that she was doing it for the best. So, Sarah, I love you. I've always loved Sarah. She's always been very important in my life. And I also want to say thanks to all of you in here as well.
We have our school board members, past school board members, and the people that are so connected to the schools. I just like to say that should there not be an opportunity for us to find a school named it after Sarah Stevenson?
Before Dr. Dr. Penn goes, Ms. Ellery had one thing she wanted to say.
Thank you all. I forgot the most important thing. It only happened last night, so Steve, you don't have this. Geraldine Sumter called me and asked if anyone thought about setting up some type of scholarship fund for Sarah. I called my sister to see if they had talked about, my sister was the body, to see if they had worked on anything. She said the mayor of Peace Springs had just hung up with her to find out if there was any way that they could set up a scholarship fund for Kershaw, Lancaster County students to apply for something. And I said, the Lord is working, because Attorney Sumter just called me, and I have to call him, and I was gonna call you to find out what can we do, or how can we do it. We lost on the conference call. So Geraldine and I continued talking. And I said, you know what, the people in Cherry have been working on trying to get the Morgan School. And they may have, I don't know, I haven't been able to get a response from the Linda Talbot or Sylvia Biddle, people from the Cherry community. But I did talk with Commissioner Lee. She's going to look into that end of it. But what we decided is that we would, along with the three counties, Mecklenburg, Kershaw, Lancaster counties, work on establishing a scholarship fund for the students in those three counties to apply for a scholarship that we will develop with Ms. Buckland, head of the trustees at Central Piedmont. She has agreed to send us their rules and guidelines. We will set it up for Central Piedmont Community College for students from those three counties to go into a field of study, which will be determined. And I am personally suggesting that we look into music, if they have a music program. Look into theater, STEM programs, and coding. There may be others. A committee would be formed from Sarah's organizations, people from the three counties, to work with Central Piedmont to manage, set up, and guide the scholarship. That is what we are publicizing today. We don't have all the details yet, but that's the kind. Thank you, Dr. Levy.
And many of you are aware that there is a scholarship fund that is already set up through Johnson C. Smith, but there may be opportunities for them to come together. So those who are interested, please contact Ella Reed. And we here at the Tuesday Forum, we have information about the scholarship at Johnson C. Smith that was initially set up for the South African.
It's the endowment.
It's the endowment.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Good morning. Good evening and good night. With Sarah, I'm gonna start like Lifetime. I'm gonna start from the ending piece until up to now, before my time run out. But I got to go see Sarah, and so as I was walking in the room, she said, Blanche, where you been? I mean, she was steady fussing at me. Where is my kids? Where's my grandkids? I say, they're coming, Sarah, they're coming, Sarah. But the time me and Vivian was there with Sarah, Sarah talked so much, she had to catch her breath. And so we let her catch her breath and she kept talking and talking. She didn't want us to leave. And it was like, I took a picture with her and it was just so emotional at the time when I was there because I blame myself that I didn't get back because I was supposed to bring her some chicken. And I already had fixed her or some fish. And I fixed a bag of goodies. I had my goodie bag, but I got caught up in the voting. I say, I'm right near her. So I got her goodie bag. So all I gotta do is run somewhere and get some chicken and take it to her. And so I was just, when I heard that, I went, darn it, I should have been there to give her that darn chicken and that goodie bag that I had for her. But one good thing about Natalie, myself, and Jackie, we were fortunate enough to be at Sarah's home a lot where we had the keys to the door. and we were able to get in the door. You know, I would bring the water and things that Sarah needed. I was also a caregiver for her one day. I never knew I was gonna be a caregiver. I was like, okay, but I was a caregiver for her needs at the time when something happened, and I was there for her. And with all the things that I, my time's up already?
Yes.
Oh, I'm so sorry. But let me say this though, I knew Sammy before I knew Miss Stevenson. But the love that I have for Sammy and Miss Stevenson, you know, it's gonna always be there and stuff. So thank you for allowing me to speak.
Good morning. For those of you who don't know me, is it on?
Sound like it. Green?
Is it green?
You broke it.
Is it green?
No, it's not green and I didn't break it. Here we go. Testing. All right, can you hear me now? For those of you who don't know me, my name is Willie and I am one of Sarah's 500 plus children. As I look across the room today, it occurs to me that in the same way I was adopted by her, many, if not all of you were also adopted. So I am glad to see some of my brothers and sisters that I've never seen before, and some I have seen previously. I met Sarah Stevenson about 42 years ago when she worked in the dispute settlement program for the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Community Relations Committee. And one of the many things that I liked about Sarah over the years is that she never changed. She never changed. She was always the same old Sarah, that same old bright, shining spirit every time you met her. No matter where you were, she was at. Met her 42 years ago, she was that shining spirit. And about a month ago, over at the nursing home where she was, when Terry Bradley and I visited her and we were trying to figure out a way to sneak her a fried catfish dinner, still the same old Sarah. In fact, when we got there, we were thinking, well, it's been a minute since we've seen her. She's going to be really happy to see us. And as soon as we stepped through the door, first thing out of her mouth is, "It is about time y'all got here." And I said, "Terry, same old Sarah." But just a really amazing human being. And there's an old saying that you can be in two places at the same time. Well, today Sarah is in two places at the same time. She's not here, but she is here. And I can see her in all of your faces. And because of you, she will always be here. She will always be here. I think if she could say one thing to this group, it would be this: I love you all, and there ain't nothing you can do about it.
Good morning, beloved friends. I'm Nancy Carter, and 23 years ago, Miss Sarah said, "Go ahead and run for city council." And she was amazing. She was a mentor and a friend that will never, ever be forgotten. And all of her influence is sitting right here, and we pass it along. 23 years ago, I went to the funeral of her sister down in South Carolina, a small church that reminded me of my daddy's church in South Carolina. And I learned plain song for the first time. But that started the love bond. And I will never, ever forget what she says at the end of every meeting: love each other, pray for each other. And what that did was send us out to do for others. And that's what sits right in this room. So thank you for what you meant to her. And thank you, God, for Miss Sarah.
Good morning. I'm Maurice Jones, and I'm a career readiness and career and technical education teacher and promoter. And one of the things that really set me to come into the Tuesday morning breakfast forum is to promote the career and technical field and make kids profitable and marketable and employable. And one of the things that kind of got me was Tuesday Morning Breaks Forum was a way to promote it. And also, I had a bunch of students who were stating ISS. A resource officer calling me saying, one of your students ran in the back of somebody on Allegheny. So I started realizing you need to be around a different group of people. So I saw Tuesday Morning Breakfast Forum as the way of exposing all different types of people to students. And that was a great thing about it. So I would tell them when we get there, if I hear anything from anybody about you being disrespectful, discourteous, have your boxing gloves on when we get outside. So they learn a lot. They learn how to talk in front of adults, working with adults. Uh, they became some of y'all electricians, some of y'all carpenters, some of your HVAC people. And by going to your house and doing work, they became better men. So I'm thanking Mrs. Stevenson and also the Tuesday Morning Breakfast Forum for help developing those young men into young adults. And thank you very much.
Good morning. I'm Juanita Miller, and I knew Sarah for a very long time. When I look at Sarah's life, Sarah has lived almost a century. She's seen a lot. She was a step away from slavery. She lived through Jim Crow, and she was able to see our first African American president. She's got stories to tell. In the words of John Lewis, Sarah believed in getting in trouble, but she got in good trouble. Oh, yes, she got in good trouble. I remember when I was working with the FBI, I would have events, and Sarah would bring her posse with her. And she would come up and she told our special agent in charge, we didn't like the FBI. We didn't like the FBI until we met Juanita Miller. So I was so glad she met me. What an influence she had on my life. Not only was she a drum major, she was a cheerleader. And she would cheer and she would be the wings underneath my, she would be the wind underneath my wings. If I had an event, I could count on Sarah Stevenson attended. And I had the honor of making her birthday cake. So it was a joy and a pleasure to write happy birthday, Sarah Stevenson. So it's so many stories that I could tell. She encouraged me to become the president of the National Association of Negro Business and Professional Women and stood with me with that. And then I went on to become the governor of this part of the Southeast. So live on, Sarah, and enjoy heaven. And don't rest in peace. Enjoy wherever you are doing what you're doing. Amen. Thank you.
Good morning, family. I am Elisa Chin Gary. I first met Miss Sarah in 2014. I remember the day vividly. I remember where I parked. I remember what I wore. I remember where I sat in the first time that I attended the Tuesday morning forum. I remember the hug she gave me. I remember the picture she took with me. I was mesmerized by Miss Sarah. I remember the last two things that she told me when we spoke. One, she didn't trust my cooking, so she said, have your husband fix me another pot of oxtails. And the second thing she said is that the Tuesday morning forum is my ministry. And that resonated with me
because I know what it's like to be convicted, to walk in purpose in serving this community. And she embodied that for me. This is her ministry, and I have been truly blessed by it. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Dolores Reed Smith, and I had the pleasure of knowing Miss Stevenson all of my life. My mother was raised in the Cherry community and with the older sons. And I remember a story my mother told me. She took my uncle to Bob's birthday party, and my uncle enjoyed the party, but when he got ready to go, he wanted to take his gift back. And so Miss Stevenson said, Bobby, don't you make that boy cry. Let him take that truck back. And so my uncle took his truck back, and then my grandma spanked him all the way back to Miss Stevenson's house to give it back. And so I said to my mother, I said, so she was bossing you around back then. So when I came along, she started to boss me around. In 1974, Sammy and I were best buddies. So she made us go to the prom together in West Charlotte and had a wonderful time. I thought her bossing me was over. And then I attended an MLK event. And so she asked me, how did I enjoy the event? How did I enjoy the event? And I told her, I just thought a city the size of Charlotte should do a little bit more. So she said to me, well, don't be complaining unless you're going to do something about it. So I took a step back. She said, at the very next meeting, I intend for you to be there. So I thought, okay, yes, ma'am. You know, thinking nothing of it. How about when they met the following year, she called me. She said, remember I told you you would be at that meeting? So I went to the meeting at Old City Hall. That's been over 30 years ago, and I'm still doing MLK to this day. I credit her with challenging me in a way that no one else could have. I was too scared to say no. And so I just did it, and I'm still doing it. Rest well, mother, rest well.
Good morning. I don't know where to start, but I can tell, I do remember when I first met Miss Sarah, and that was, you mentioned the Lutheran church that I think meant so much to her. The Lutheran minister, Ascension Lutheran's wife, invited me to a gathering at her house in our neighborhood when she was running for school board. And from that point, I could tell her heart and her character and the relationships that she built. And as much as I can say, I think whether it was the school board, the Tuesday morning forum, starting McDonald's and on through, everywhere she's gone and been a part of, she not only was a leader, she was developing leaders. And everybody in this room is, whether a leader up front or a leader in the background, is has been touched and has been a better leader because of her heart, because of her faith, because of her prayers, which I think are still there for each of us. And so when I think of her strength and her character, which is really her strength of character. That's how she led. That's why she led. That's why she was able to lead. And that's why she will continue to inspire us. Thank you. Anyone else? I just.
How you doing? I'm Tozer Mackey.
Put the mic
wanna-
on.
Yeah, put it up. All right, I don't speak on the mic a whole lot, but Ms. Stevens, and of course Mr. Jones, I didn't realize how long I've been coming to these events. It's been almost 20 years, and I was one of those students that was getting into trouble and different things, and I came to these different events, and you guys were my first customers. And then now that I'm thinking about it, you guys are the reason why I'm developed to where I don't necessarily have to have a job. I have created jobs for over 12 of my friends. And I really appreciate being able to be here. And she definitely helped the base of a brother take care of himself and his family and many other brothers. And I really appreciate it. And I appreciate all you guys for helping us out. That's it.
Okay, just a few things we want to share with you. We have had numerous calls from people across the state that would like to do what we are doing here in Charlotte with the forum. And there is an organization that is setting up a training for people to come to Charlotte to visit with us at the Tuesday Forum so they can see what we do. And it's just based on the commitment that all of us have made to make sure that it stays alive. We don't know how they're going to do it. Steve has always said to this person that we've been speaking with, you know, we don't know what the climate is in these other cities and towns and states that you want to duplicate what we're doing with the forum. But you have to just you have to just decide of what we have, of what you have in your community. We have a wonderful place here in Charlotte, and we have been graced with having this facility allow us to continue to meet here every Tuesday morning. And I talked to Mary and Jackie, and I said, you know what, we come, and Natalie, and Carlene, and Saritha, and Winston. I said, you know what, we probably come to Tuesday morning forum more than ministers preach at that church every Sunday. So we are here almost every Tuesday morning. That's something to say, but that's our commitment. You know, we just don't get paid, you know. That's a commitment that we've made.
We get paid very well.
We are blessed, you know, to have each other, because the decisions that we make at Tuesday Forum are not made, it's not made by one person. We all, the 7 or 8 of us get together and we discuss it, you know, and we are all strongly opinionated. But we do know that we are doing the right thing for this community. And Mary wants to share some words with you as well. So know that we're in the process of being duplicated across the state of North Carolina. And maybe out of this, I know a person in South Carolina wants to come for the training as well. So we're working on something that we feel like will benefit other people. And she did not have a clue what she had got started. So we felt it was necessary for us to name Sarah Stevenson Tuesday Forum. And they can take it all over the world if they want to, because we know what it's all about. Mary.
It didn't come through. It didn't come through. One of the things I wanted to say before Winston's going to come and close us out, but one of the things I wanted to let you know is that although we love our politicians, and we have a lot of people from the city council, the county commissioners, and all over the state representatives, but one of the things that we really are trying to do is focus on our local entrepreneurs. We really want the community to see what they're doing and to support them, just as this young man said right there. And one of the ways that they can be known is to come to the Tuesday Forum and share what they are doing. And we really want you to come and see and hear what they're doing so that you can give them some business. You know, we want to help our own. you know, so we want to grow this community. We know that entrepreneurship is the way to build wealth in America. Okay, so we want to help them in that endeavor, and so we do. We have our politicians to come and speak to us and tell us what's going on, and we need that. We really do. But we also need for our young entrepreneurs to come, and we need you to come or tune in to hear what they are offering. So, Winston.
All right, y'all, I won't be long. So I will take the liberty to ask each one of you that is here representing an organization, an institution, make sure you have representation at these forums. This is your direct channel to receive information that is essential to our local community. So if you are the community engagement person for whatever organization, there it is. You got an intern, if you have someone, even yourselves, make sure you send them to this institution that has to remain. It is so vital to us, each one of us locally, that it stays intact and that it thrives, not only exists. So I will put that responsibility on you all, and I will close it.
Wait a minute, you got one more.
Okay.
Yeah.
I gotta close this special way, so we're gonna give it church.
Hello, I'm Anthony Hunt, local architect. And can you hear me now? I'm Anthony Hunt, local architect here in Charlotte, known as Stevenson, so long I can't remember. We used to meet at McDonald's cafeteria. And Sarah, I just wanted to make a couple of points. As a businessman, she made a difference. I met Wilhelmina through the Tuesday Morning Breakfast Forum. You know, Becky Carney. I mean, I don't start calling names, but Jackie and I, Sarah nominated Jackie, I think, to the Whitney Young Award. Jackie, is that right? Yes. Sarah, she's always about developing new talent and youth. And she's dependable. We used to meet at McDonald's cafeteria. That's how far back we go, and further. And she taught us something. Bring school to the school board officials to the Tuesday Morning Breakfast Forum, because there was no other vehicle available for an outlet. So and we would meet at Tuesday Morning Breakfast. And when we meet there, it may be two people, but she was there every time, all the time. You can depend on her. So, and she was a strategist. So all the issues that come up, you don't have to ask them to come to Tuesday Morning Breakfast. They wanted politicians, elected officials, an opportunity to meet the community. This was it. Sarah was dependent. So she was a strategist, because we would come to Tuesday Morning Breakfast. I don't know if you remember Stoney Sellers. He couldn't be here today. But she taught us how to. One person asked one question about diversity. Someone else a question about business development. And we would pass it around the room so that that person left there a changed person, especially when it comes to economic empowerment. So she was there as a candidate. I'm having challenges with my voices, but I would call her a revolutionary. She was there making change. And that's all I just couldn't. I tried my best not to say anything, just experiences, but there's no way I can do that without saying, Sarah, thank you, thank you, thank you.
With that said, I think it's important to close this out as Miss Sarah would. Don't forget to love each other. If you were here at part of this, her birthday is October 26th.
Love celebrating her birthday, it's time to donate, and she also loved the Christmas party that Natalie runs.
Miss Natalie, that's your responsibility. So like we're gonna have two upcoming parties, one late October and Christmas. Thank you all for coming out. Miss Sarah would absolutely love the idea of this, to see you all back, to see you all come home. Again, I hope you enjoyed yourselves. Do something good this week in Miss Sarah's honor. Again, don't forget to love each other. Thank you all for coming. Next week we will be back to regular programming with another amazing guest presenter.